Hello and thank you, critical thinkers out there, for tuning in to my channel today. We're going to talk about some breaking news stories that has happened as of late. We've got Hurricane Harvey that has literally just now basically died. We've had him that hit Texas back on the 24th, 25th of last month. We've had that. There's been a lot of speculation as to whether FEMA camps is being set up at the Walmarts. There has been now confirmed reports that that is actually something that is happening in Houston, Texas. There's been numerous locations of Walmarts being closed down. Now we've got Hurricane Irma that's coming up, and looks like she's going to be hitting places like Puerto Rico. You got Hispaniola, you've got Cuba in those neck of the woods, maybe the southern tip of Florida that will be affected. Now there's another speculation that Houston and the states down around the Gulf of Mexico might be hit again. So I want to pray for all of those people already that's going to be affected with Irma and possibly now Jose. Well, on the same note, I think that it needs to be mentioned and it needs to be said that HARP, and it's not the kind that you play either, it's the one that's in Alaska, and DARPA, which is two weather weapons that is being used now to create these hurricanes and now the intensities that they are becoming. Let's not forget earthquakes and floods and tsunamis that can be created with that particular weather weaponry. We've got that. You've got weather wars that's going on. Something that really and truly should not be being used against anyone for any reason at all, but it's being used, whether it be, like I said, hurricanes, which now I think needs to be upgraded to a hypercane, basically like what Harvey was. It's something along those lines. They do say, and I've been seeing quite a few posts on Facebook, that there is no such thing as a Category 6 hurricane. I think that there needs to be a little bit of a clarification with that. If people would go to wikipedia.org and look up the Saffir-Simpson scale, they will see a Category 6 storm that is actually on the Saffir-Simpson scale. So if they're going to go ahead and do research, they need to do research the correct way. They need to know what they're talking about, which I've seen several people on Facebook that states that there's no such thing as a Category 6. There is. With that being stated, now with the tornadoes that's been going on as of late, which it's really not been reported about that much, but I'm going to kind of touch on those a little bit. In regards to those, there's been numerous tornadoes that's been going on everywhere, so I would like to kind of talk about that for a little bit. You've had things like overseas that's been going on, and I need to kind of touch on that a little bit too. There's been numerous places being flooded overseas. You've had super typhoons that's been going on. I've got a very dear friend that lives in China that has been affected by one. So that's something else that needs to be touched upon, which is the typhoons that's been going on and super cyclones. I kind of want to touch on those for a little bit too, so here goes nothing with that. When it comes to the things that's been going on as of late with the weather, that should not be going on at all, period. This should be somewhat of a calm situation with going on, and should be really a calm thing, but this is something that, kind of touches back to what happened back on August the 21st, 2017, which everybody knows that they called that the eclipse that happened, the Great American Eclipse, that actually has been seen from anywhere from Oregon all the way down to South Carolina. Let's kind of put in here too the Bahamas, because they actually had a little bit of a taste of the eclipse as well too. So that's something else that's been done. I've heard a lot of speculation, and a lot of people state that they didn't think the eclipse had anything to do with anything, which it is 100% now fact that eclipses do have things to do with, like, weather phenomena, weather pattern changes, with everything else that's been going on too. I've been noticing some reports coming out now that people think that the eclipse was a staged event. I've got to do a lot more research into that myself, because that's something I would like to kind of, touch base with. And now when it comes to overseas, they've been dealing with a lot of earthquakes. There's been a lot of flooding. There's been a lot of typhoons and super cyclones that's been going on. That is something I want to kind of touch on too, because it's just not a United States of America thing. This is an all around the world thing here. So I'm touching on everything with that. There's been weather wars that's been going on. I kind of want to touch too on some things here that kind of goes in with that. You've got an elite organization called the Cabal that is like a, how shall I say it? It's got stuff to do with the Illuminati. If anybody doesn't know what these things is, please take time to take a look at it online. The thing called Cabal again, the Illuminati. Let's go into the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, which if anybody doesn't know who in the world a Rockefeller is, look at Standard Oil. There you go. That goes in with the key point there. I want to go ahead and touch lightly on the Bilderbergs and also the Bohemian Grove. That has everything to do with that organization too, and other secret societies. If you don't believe me, people, please, by all means, look it up, because I want my audience to be a very educated audience. I want them to know what's going on. I want them to see what is going on too with, what's going on with weather, your earthquakes, floods, you name it. So look that up. That interesting information, by the way. Now I want to touch a little bit on another breaking news story, which is, going on right now, which is North Korea. North Korea, they've been basically setting off missiles and stuff like that for a little while. Now there's been sanctions that's been levied against North Korea. They're trying to tighten up the sanctions on that notion. Also, there's also still dealing with the North Korea situation, looking at EMPs. And if you don't know what an EMP is, it's an electromagnetic pulse weapon. It's actually a bomb that is literally set inside of a nuclear warhead that will go off in the atmosphere, and it will knock out power for probably the rest of your life. We're looking at massive power outages, which I want to kind of touch base with this too, because this kind of goes in hand with this video that I'm doing. If you don't know what the television show Revolution is all about, please, by all means, get the DVD or Blu-ray on Amazon.com. Revolution has got people like Billy Burke in it, David Lyons, Tracy Sporadicos, Elizabeth Mitchell. That's just to name a few of the people that's actually in the show. Please, by all means, if you're a critical thinker like I am, like I said, I want my audience to be well educated and know what's going on and what can go on. Look back at 1859. There was a big solar flare that hit Puerto Rico. It literally fried telegraph lines. That was back in 1859. Again, I want my audience to look at things like that, look it up online, get a little education while in the process of kind of going on your own little adventure, which is something I like doing myself. I've done a ton of research on things that I'm talking about for you guys. Now to touch back onto the earthquake situation, we're going to kind of touch on that for just a few minutes. I want to talk to you guys here in, say, the Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Arkansas, areas like that will be affected by the New Madrid seismic zone and the Missouri gravity low, and all their fault systems that's actually going on right now that you're living on. When the New Madrid goes up, people, we don't have much of a chance. Period. Let's just call it what it is. I want you guys to look up things like on Wikipedia, which Wikipedia is probably one of my big sources that I look at things with. There's also people that's on YouTube that I follow quite a bit as well too. A gentleman by the name of Datranium. He's a very good source to look at for earthquake information. Another gentleman that I go by, and he is basically my, how should I say it, my mentor when it comes to earthquakes and anything earthquake related. His name is Dutch Sense. That's DUTCHSINSE. Please look him up and subscribe to his channel as well, because like I said, the guy is amazing. I really follow him a lot myself. My family does as well. Datranium, he basically talks about interplanetary alignments, which if you don't know what that is, look that up too, because it's like, say for instance, you're going to have Mars, Earth, and say Mercury being aligned in alignment. That kind of goes in with the whole earthquake scenario as well too, which majority of the time it's got everything to do basically with HAARP, because HAARP is something that is being used as a weather weapon. There's numerous HAARPs that's all around the world, just not here in the United States. Look that up too, because like I said, I want you guys to know what's going on, when to start preparing, which number one, I think preparation right now is very important and very vital for you all. So that means you've got to get medications, try to steer clear of, the entire idea of Western medicine, which like I said, kind of goes back in with the Bilderbergs, which is something that I want my audience to look up, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There's other things that you can look up too, what aluminum does, or what mercury does to aluminum, which is actually being put into your medications as we're speaking, like your flu vaccines. I want you all to look that up too. Now, with that being stated with weather, we're going to kind of get off of that now. We're going to look more or less at the North Korea situation. I want you guys to know what's going on with North Korea. They have set off, like I said, several missiles right now, kind of in succession. There was a big 6.3 all the way to a 7.0, which I don't know if that could be construed as a real earthquake or if that was them doing their testing. So we'll say a 50-50. I'm going to leave it at that. When it comes down to it, we've got a little situation here in the United States that I think needs to be stated here. And it goes along with the Make America Great thing again and America First. President Trump, I love the man to death. I voted him myself in as president. Now, when it comes down to it, I think we need to more or less say that America needs to come number one. We need to let other countries take care of themselves. Like, for instance, if Japan is having issues with North Korea, then Japan needs to take it up with North Korea, or China, Russia, whoever. I mean, for real. The United States of America needs to start coming first, because there's so much more important things that needs to happen here in the States, which number one is that we're aching and needing more jobs for people. We've got other issues that needs to be taken care of, like, for instance, medications and health care. I think that is something that's number one, another thing that's most important here. And when it comes to North Korea and all the rest of this stuff, just leave it alone. Make America great again. If you're going to do it right. Just leave these other countries completely alone. Leave them out of it, because they need to take care of themselves, for real, people. If it was on the other foot, people would tell us to take care of ourselves, so we need to do that as well with, say, Japan, China, and whoever else is being affected with all this mess. Now, another thing that's been kind of in the news, and it's still slightly in the news, and I want to touch about that too, because when it comes down to it, I think it's a bunch of bunk, and that's the whole Russia collusion situation. There's no such thing as a Russian collusion thing, people. I mean, it's time to move on. Get over it, move on. The election happened, Trump got in, that's all we need to know. When it comes down to it with Hillary, number one, I think still she needs to be locked up because of what she's done, what she's gotten by with, and that's pretty much it with her. Lock her up, lock her entire family up, throw away the key, whatever the case may be, it does. So, there's a lot more stuff, my happy peeps, that I kind of want to get into, but I'll kind of do that in a vlogging style succession. If there's something that I see in the news that comes in and it's breaking and it's something I think that needs to be stated here, we'll go back and we'll talk about things like that too. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe and hit that little bell symbol so that way you can get all of my notifications onto your cell phone. 2, if you like what you see, I need a little help with, finances as far as that's concerned, on getting better material and better things for the feeds that I'm going to go ahead and give to you guys as well. Hit up my Patreon account. I'll be more than happy to leave that link in the little comments or the little information thing down below in the description. I'll go ahead and hit that in there too. So if you like what you see, share it, subscribe it, get this thing out, because I think, number one, it needs to be stated that things is going on that should not be going on. So like I said, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, hit that little bell symbol over there to the side where it says subscribe, and that way you can help me out with that. And tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell colleagues, whatever. So this is the Critical Thinker today. She's signing out. If, like I said, breaking news comes in and I see something that really needs to be stated, then I will get back in with you guys. So have a great day, my Critical Thinkers, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.